So today I'm going to give you 3 critical points that are going to help you not only correct your posture, but build your overall delt profile. Let's go. What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of That Guy Health. And today we are going to cover delts. So listen, if you haven't been here before, welcome. If you have been here before and many other times, thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being a subscriber. And thank you everybody who has subscribed to the fitness app. It is a wonderful thing. And I really appreciate you all helping me build that up and being members of that. We're going to have new training protocols going in pretty soon for everybody that's going into the next mesocycle. So be ready for those alerts. Don't forget to update and upload your body profile picture so we can keep track of your overall progress. But today, let's go ahead and get into this. Resistance bands are the equipment that we are using, and we're using them for the delts. And there are 3 critical points that we're going to cover, all right? So the first one is form. We're going to go over some things that are compromising your form, correction of that, in which will help you build a better overall delt profile, but get better efficiency and use out of your work, all right? Because if your form is compromised and it's just horrible, likely you're not getting the gains that you want, and you could possibly injure yourself. The second thing that we're going to go over is something called upper cross syndrome. This is a situation that occurs, and we're going to go over this very basic because it's really elaborate. There are a lot of things that could cause it. There are a lot of things that are affected by it, but basically this is what it is. If you look at my side profile here, this is how I typically routinely stand. Look at my delts right here, okay? Right side. People with upper cross syndrome, you'll see that their shoulders will be protracted, rolled slightly, or very forward, okay? That is an indication of upper cross syndrome, given that there aren't any other medical situations happening there. Another key thing to look for is a jutted neck, a jutted chin, something like this. Upper cross syndrome. Things that cause this in today's society: texting, see that? Typing on the keyboard, see that? And if you notice, my shoulders are also protracted. What that does is cause a lengthening, stretching of the posterior delt. The front, anterior, and lateral delts get overreactive. They get tighter, they get stronger because we're holding out here, pulling the posterior delt forward, therefore causing upper cross syndrome. So another thing why we're working with resistance bands today in delts is because this can also be a form of correcting that situation. By working the posterior delts, getting them to go ahead and get strengthened, pulling back, correcting posture. Third reason, obvious reason, is glamour muscle. The delts are a glamour muscle. No matter if you're a man or woman, likely in the summertime, you're wearing a stringer top, spaghetti top, tank top, muscle top, something where your shoulders are exposed. Nothing sets off that profile or that physique better than nice, toned, built delts, okay? Now, you don't have to be overbuilt because women don't want built delts, or they want bigger delts most of the time. Men do. But I think everybody wants that aesthetic, physique, nice look that when they put on that shirt and walk out, they have a pretty good looking profile, okay? This is something that I've been working on. I have definitely been hitting my posterior delts heavy this mesocycle for this this build season. So let's go into this, all right? A couple of things of form. Let's not make this video longer than it has to be. Some key things that I focus on, and there are many other things to focus on, is not overloading yourself. Keep in mind, these, and I said these delt muscles, because it's not one big muscle, are 3 individual small muscles: posterior, lateral, anterior, okay? We don't have to excessively overload them with over amounts of bearing weight, compromising form, and risking injury. I have and often do workout with 5 pounds, nice reps, controlled good form, and I get a pretty good muscle intensification in there, all right? So some of the things to look for, and you can't see my feet, but you all know what I'm talking about. When you're doing delt exercise, you have a tendency to get up on your tippy toes. Why? Because the body's natural function is to try to get whatever is being done quick as possible, any way it can. So a lot of times you get up on your tippy toes trying to get that weight up. That's what you're doing. You're trying to get that weight up, just like people that do bicep curls, hump. That's what you're doing with delts. You get on your tippy toes. So what I like to do is I like to put my weight in my heels, make sure I can wiggle my toes, slightly bend my knees, and then that way it takes that out of there and I can focus and put more intensification in the delt, the primary mover. Another thing is this: we have a tendency to tuck our chins down and put our necks forward because we're struggling to get that weight up, all right? So with that being said, with those form tips, 2 of them, I got a third one. Let's pick a good resistance band that is going to allow us to get a good range of motion, allow us to get good muscle burn within 10 to 12 reps, and allow us to hold good form. Another thing is this, especially when we're working posterior and also lateral. A lot of people when they work posterior delts, whether they're on the pec deck machine or this way, is they have a tendency to go and put a lot of flexion in this right here. And what you're doing, if you notice, what muscle group protrudes or do you see heavily excited when I do that? The tricep. So now instead of really working the posterior delt, you turned it into a tricep exercise. So what you want to do is keep a slight bend, slight flexion in this area right here. And you want to focus on mentally driving that elbow back past the frontal plane right here. That's as far as we need to go. You trying to get further back by doing this is only kicking in the tricep. It's not helping the posterior delt. Go ahead, keep this form right here, drive that elbow back and tighten up back there. And another good tip, let's keep an isometric hold slightly. It doesn't have to be long, not even longer than a second. Just a nice isometric hold and then let it fully stretch down, okay? Another thing that we're gonna focus on is tempo. I just said the isometric hold. Resistance bands give us the awesome ability to work both ways. As we come up, resistance is being intensified. As we come down, the band is pulling down with us, as well as gravity. Control both ways, we maximize our gains, all right? So let's get started here. I'm gonna probably pick 3 exercises for each side of this delt. Posterior is what I like to start with because I'm fresh, I have enough energy, I'm not tired at all, and I can focus on really maximizing my form to really put good intensification in that posterior delt. From there, I'll go to the lateral delt because the front delt already gets a lot of work when it comes to bench press and everything else. So it's not that I'm not worried about the front delt, it's just the fact that I know the front delt gets more of the plate when things are getting eaten than the rest of the delt muscles, especially the posterior delt. All right, so let's pick these bands. Hopefully I don't get anybody that knocks me across the head with this door. I'm working in a home environment like many of you are. These are the type of bands that we're going to be working with today. Make sure you have your retaining strap. Mine should already be on here, and it is. And I'm going to go ahead. If you notice, this blue band is probably the heaviest band coming in at 40 pounds. I don't need that, okay? If anything, I might not even need the red one, but I'll keep it on there just in case. And the red one, I believe, is 30, and the green one is 20. Yep, so red is 30, green is 20. We're gonna go ahead and start from the lower position because like I said, we're gonna work posterior. So I might actually do 2 exercises to show you what I do on that, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and let's start from the lower area, and then I'm gonna come up top and do one from above, all right? So right here off the back, I'm already probably going to go ahead and change these up. One good reason is always warm your delts up. I don't care what type of exercising you're doing, warm your delts up. We're gonna go ahead and pick this green one, which is 20 pounds, more than enough, because if it's not, we can always step out a little further, pull up on this one to get a little bit more resistance by shortening the distance on the resistance band. So I'm gonna try to go ahead, hopefully you can see here, I'm gonna go ahead, and most time people like to have this type of grip. I don't. I like to go ahead, pull this strap through to put the handle like this, and I like to pull with my fist knuckles down because I feel like that gives me a better range of motion to get my elbows back instead of here. It kind of promotes me to put flexion right here and do a bicep curl. So I want to try to alleviate that, all right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna come right here, pull back on this band, tuck it nice right here, get a slight bend, and we're gonna get that elbow back. Now you notice I still have that bend. I'm gonna come back down, and I noticed a little slack in the band as I came down. So what I wanna do now is step out a little bit more because I don't want that resistance to bottom out on me, and I'm gonna go like this. Here we go. Oh yeah, there we go. No neck jutting, my weight's in my heels. I'm driving that elbow back past the plane, and I get a nice little slight hold at the top just to get an isometric burn in that muscle group to let them know we're working and we mean business. Try to keep your form as good as possible. Once form is heavily compromised, you have reached a good point, and there we go. All right, so there is one right there. Now what you want to do is work the other side, 10 to 12 reps, 3 to 5 sets. All right, so now that we've done that one, we're going to go up top. Now I'm going to be switching this out quite a bit because this is what you might be doing when you're working with these. So now we're going to go up top. I'm going to show you one. That's a unilateral move. Okay, one limb. Now I'm going to show you one where I do a bilateral move, working 2 limbs. All right, so we'll grab the bands here. Going to be reverse of you. And right here, I can already tell we're going to go ahead and go up to 30. Go up to 30 right here. Not only will it keep us from having to go so far back, putting extra resistance on there to get the amount of intensity that we want, but it'll give us a little bit more burn too, all right? So on this one, kind of like bench press, good full grip. I'm gonna come right here till I'm stretched out right there, and I'm gonna spread out wide. Now you notice, I wanna spread out wide. If you come here and you do this, you drop your elbow down closer to your side and pull back, you're working the lat. That's the lat muscle. That's why if you're doing bent over dumbbell rows and you're out here, you're really taking away. You might be hitting the teres major a bit, but you're definitely taking away from the lat. You wanna keep that elbow in close and almost pinch it back to hit the lat. But since we're working delt, we want to get that elbow out and keep it out wide to focus on that posterior delt. So I'm going to come right here and I'm going to pull, boom, right there. I don't need to do any more. I can feel the delt is very intensified. I can feel that it is contracted, and I'm going to let it roll forward. Boom, come back, pull, hold, forward, come back, pull, boom. Elbows back. Boom, trying to stay as wide as I can. Focusing on that delt, boom. Keeping a nice look. Try not to tuck your chin down in your chest. Keep your weight in your heels. And there we go. That's another one. 10 to 12 reps, 3 to 5 sets, get a good burn in, okay? So now that we hit the posterior delt, we're gonna do the lateral. You pretty much know lateral is very highly common. Front delts, you'll see secondary. Most people you see, they're steadily doing this. Every now and then you see somebody come in and doing these. Very rarely you see somebody actually working the rear delt. That's just how it goes. So right now, let's go ahead and get ready to work the lateral delt, okay? So, lateral delt, we're gonna stay with the 30-pound bands. And I'm gonna come pretty similar to when we were bent over doing posterior. Now I'm gonna come and notice I keep nice little flexion right here, elbow area. All right, I'm gonna keep this band slightly in front of me. Now I like to make sure that when I come up here, I can see my hand on my peripheral. Don't come back here and cause scapular impingement, all right? I don't like behind the neck delt moves. I think over time, the risk is not worth the reward. You can work the posterior delt without these. I'm just telling you, it's really not worth it in my opinion, but if you like it, you feel like it's getting you gains, go right ahead by all means. So back to what I was saying, I like to make sure I keep my hand, I can see it right here in my peripheral. I like my pinky to come right here, just hitting my thigh, so I know that my hand is in that same range of motion right there, okay? Now you notice I still like to keep that bend in the elbow, getting that elbow up. Not like this. I see a lot of people doing this. They're flying, and what you're trying to do most times, if you just have bad form, you're trying to feel like you're doing more, just getting that up, but you're not, all right? You're probably gonna risk injury. Keep this down. I like my elbow to lead, my hand to trail. Boom, right here, I'm good. So let's go ahead and get a few in, all right? So, boom, isometric hold, control on the eccentric. Concentric, control on the eccentric. Concentric, isometric, eccentric. Concentric, isometric, eccentric. And there we go. All right, I want my wrist down, promoting that I don't do the flyboy thing. And there it goes. All right, right there. Push yourself if you can. Once form starts to fail, you've pretty much reached failure. Go ahead and switch out, do the other side, all right? So that pretty much is that lateral delt move, what you're gonna get pretty much every time. Another one that I do like to do, which is to me a compound movement of lateral and front, is I'll come here, stand this way, and I'll just out. I'm not gonna go straight ahead. I'm gonna go about, I'd say about 30, 40 degrees. I'm gonna split it right here. Boom, control, boom, control, boom. Hitting that front delt, a little bit of lateral delt, right there, control, all right? So there you go. There's a front delt move. The combination of these, like I said, 10 to 12 reps, 3 to 5 sets, you will get a good delt burn, all right? That is pretty much what I will do, whether it is with resistance bands or free weights, okay? If there's another one that I could give to you, it probably would be the overhead press. Given that you have enough room here, overhead press, I like to go ahead and get into my heels, slight bend in the knee, all right? Taking out that possibility, I'm gonna get on my tippy toes and try to thrust it up, and I'm gonna get right here and boom, press up and come down. Press up and come down. Press up and come down. Now notice when I get here, I still have a slight bend in my elbow. I'm not trying to Superman fly it. I got slight bend, keeping the pressure in the delt, keeping my chin from tucking down. If you start doing those things early, 3 reps in, then it's a possibility you need to change your resistance. You're overloaded. You can't keep good form. Your body's trying to cheat in order to get the rep done. You don't want that, okay? So listen, like I always say, I really appreciate you all. I'm hoping that these tips, these exercises, seeing me operate within the confines of my home, just as you all may be doing, will help you out greatly. I appreciate you all subscribing. You know what I always say about this time, be safe, let's build together, and peace.